Hey guys, my name is Mike Munzing. I've got an interesting report for you that you've not heard. I'll be right back. Okay, this week I want to cover a report by Mark Hansen, often known as Mr. Mortgage. He's the guy that was making videos about 8 or 9 years ago, but he put out a report this week and it covers some of the interesting looks at what the bubble 1.0 and now he's calling the bubble 2.0. And let me talk about a couple of the highlights, stuff you're not going to hear. It's not all that positive, so it's information we need to know. We can't be Pollyanna. We can't just turn our backs on what the numbers are saying. So just stuff to think about. First, he talks about how at this point, housing is just making time in different segments. Some segments are getting better and some are getting worse because the demand is very weak. It's weaker now than it was in the previous cycles, but he says when the actual downturn hits, that might make it a little less severe. Back in the 07, 08 time period, that was really rough. He also says, but he sees no reason why the prices are not going to drop, maybe not as severe as they did back in their era, but he does see a motivating force that they're going to be pushing downward. The momentum will be trending a little bit downward. He also says, if I had to bet on the next move in the housing market, if it's going to go up by 10% or down by 20%, he would be betting on the down by 20%. And he puts in a bunch of charts and graphs. Now, this is going to be down below here on my video on YouTube. I'm also going to be emailing this report out to you. But let's take a look at some of the varying charts and see what they show. Now, the first chart is for new home sales. And we need to remember that the federal government pumped about $15 trillion into the market. But this is the new home sales trend. And this is kind of an 8-year look here. Currently, we've had a rise for the last 8 years rising. And before that, we see that previous spike. But he says for $15 trillion, this is all we get. Not really impressive. And then the next chart shows the sales from 2008 to 2017 in new homes. This is kind of a new homes area. Into 14 there, it's been almost level, even a slight decrease on the new home sales prices overall for the state. Now this chart is for the April existing home sales for the past 15 years. Now the bottom lines there, demand is far lower currently than the first bubble. I think I mentioned that earlier, we know that. Number two is that there's not much demand increase since 2010. We're seeing it more locally. This is not an Orange County report. This is a broader California report. But number three is something other than demand is driving prices. And we'll see that in a moment here. But demand being not real hot, prices have been still going up. So that is an interesting look at what's going on there. Now the next chart here is what I talked about quite a bit. Existing home sales volume. We see the big spike early on. We've seen it trickle down. So we see these low numbers here. Our existing home sales are down once again. A lot of that's because of inventory, but an interesting chart where the existing home sales spiked and now they're back down low again. Now this is what Mark mentioned a moment ago. Now this is up in the Bay Area, a little snapshot of the Bay Area as well as Silicon Valley. Now you can see the top number here is the sales price is still trending upward and the bottom is actually the actual sales. So you see the spread here from the actual sales and the pricing. So the demand is coming down, the prices are going up. Kind of an interesting number that he's really seeing, trying to figure that out. Now that being said, home builder sentiment is an interesting comparison in this chart here. And this shows the kind of similar in sales, and then you got the chart, the sentiment is the line, the sales are the graph there. And then as you come down, you see what he calls a historic divergence, where the sentiment of the builders is rallying up, but you see the sales numbers are not quite rallying as much. Definitely some interesting things going on in the market. Now he moves over into a leading indicator, rents. What's going on with rents? Certainly in Orange County, we're thinking rents are still going up, but let's look at some major markets here. Cover the page here, and some of these are in Texas and New York, and a number of them in California, but you'll see these spikes all up and down the page here in 2016, Q1, Q2, 2016, where the rent prices are starting to spike a little bit last year, and they say when the rents spike a little bit and start coming back down a bit, that's a leading indicator for the home home sales numbers. And to back that up, we have the 20 most expensive rental markets on this table here. And if you look down the table, you will see the numbers are starting to go negative. That is very interesting. So that is based on 2-bedroom apartments, and those numbers have started going negative from on a year-over-year basis. Certainly a really interesting number. And finally, just another chart. Now these are just different charts. As I said, what's it mean? We don't know, but it's just some different looks of the market that we're hearing about here just in Orange County. Fannie Mae put out a chart, and this is the seller sentiment, also showing the buyer's sentiment as well. The top line is buyers feeling like it's a good time to buy, and this bottom number thinking sellers thinking it's a good time to sell. And hopefully as we're going up the chart here, up to March of 2017, we're hoping that that means the sellers are going to put their homes back on the market, but you can also see that downward trend a little bit on the buyer side. So they're coming together. Is that going to mean more of a buyer's market? We don't know, but I think I've been feeling that it's starting to move towards the buyers, which is great news. Now, speaking of your buyers, I mean, hopefully you find this report interesting. It's deep, it's kind of wonky, but if you want to get into the numbers, print it out, read it, review it. It gives you something else to talk about and help maybe find a position with your buyers and sellers. We've got a little bit different information and hopefully get them to make that move towards either selling their home or buying a home. And I love being here for you for both of those. Also, don't forget, I've got my great application here. It's a PDF. You can get it over on my website at www.mikemunzing.com. Been doing this over 30 years. I love being here for you. Love being here for your buyers. We can get that credit report pulled, get that application reviewed, and we'll get them ready to go. We've got a couple deals in escrow this week. It's exciting. The market's great as the summer's coming into swing here, and we're gonna have a good, beautiful summer. So call me anytime, 949-689-5626. I'm here for you. God bless you. God bless your family. God bless this beautiful country. Let's stay loving to each other, and let's do a great job. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye.